We joint plaintiffs naturally ask ourselves, a woman who has this almost leading position at the commandant's level must have fulfilled a special task. That can't be just a secretary, but that must have been more. And the other thing is, the historical expert will of course report the overall context. Last but not least, one must never forget that every expert witness in every criminal case is an aid to decision making, but not the decision maker. The decision is made by the court. The court has to gather evidence, and that includes the historical expert report. I completely disagree with you on that, because I have visited Stutthoff twice myself. If you go there and go into the Kommandantur building, you see everything, so to speak. To the left of the building, the prisoners were marched in or forced to enter through a barrack called the political department. They were all registered, entered into the committal book. So the chance of seeing these poor figures is very high. The second thing is, from the window you see everything. And the third thing, the theory of Mrs. Furchner's defense counsel makes the comparison with the Posen speech, which I think he is quite wrong to make, as proof that SS people did not talk about what they were doing. That was related primarily to the Röhm-Putsch. But if there is criminal collusion between SS people, that doesn't mean that I don't hear anything about what's going on in my daily work. In this respect, we think it's good that the historical expert is coming and perhaps shedding some light on the matter. Well, of course it is not in my interest to smash China here and to throw myself over the courts and be perceived as a disruptive factor. Of course I don't want that, but it's also my role and task as an advocate for the survivors to fight for their rights and to make their voices heard. And if the court here, against all expectations, and against all life experience, tries to cut off the victim's words by preventing me from making a statement here, then I have to stand up, and then I have to say something. Then I have to speak up. Whether I am successful in doing so is written on another star. I do not have the power. The court has the power to impose its own will. I can only point to legal aspects, to moral aspects, to social aspects. We must not forget why we are doing this procedure here. Of course, this is a criminal clarification of the question of guilt of the defendants. But at the same time, it's also about the legal processing of a partial aspect of the Holocaust, namely the murders in the Stutthoff concentration camp, in which the defendant is alleged to have participated. Of course, the voice of the survivors, the voice of the victims, was also needed for this legal reappraisal. Without them, it will not work. Only through their participation will these proceedings become what they are, namely a legal reappraisal. You have just formulated the judge's concern. That is, to prevent delays in the proceedings so that evidence can be taken smoothly. We are currently seeing that exactly the opposite is the case. We are seeing that this small-scale, formalistic discussion is causing delays in the proceedings. If I had made my statement on the first day of the trial, it would have taken 5, maybe 6 minutes, and the matter would have been settled. What we are experiencing instead is a protracted, tedious discussion, which I do not want, but which obviously has to be held, because I do not know how else to help myself. My clients are very old, they live outside Germany, they are ill. They have various physical infirmities. They will not be able and willing to actually appear in court here. We must not forget one thing. These are very old, very elderly people. Both the defendant and the victims at issue. We have seen in the past that trials have been stopped in the middle, that they could not be continued. Here, too, it is within the realm of probability that one of the parties to the proceedings will not live to see the end of the proceedings. And against this background, my concern here is also to press for this explanation and to say what I would like to say, also again a little bit more understandable, a little bit more comprehensible. We don't know if we are going to get together again in 2 weeks. It may be that today was the last opportunity, and that is a moral problem that I don't think the court has grasped yet, because it would have to live with the fact that it didn't give us the opportunity to say certain things here.